Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my Microsoft Xbox and Starfield Showcase 2023 impressions. And that just happened today, and I actually really enjoyed it. The thing is, most of it was said, hey, this is like, it's not CGI ones, it's in-game footage and everything like that. It's like, okay, that kind of works, but most of it is like in-game kind of like cinematics and stuff like that, which is good, but it was more like, alright, we did good kind of gameplays out of a lot of these different kind of games, so we'll have to kind of see how this kind of works out. Now, the biggest kind of issue definitely has been Xbox's first-party kind of games and how it hasn't really been producing a lot lately. Hopefully this starts to kind of start picking up, because the refrain is pretty much just wait for the next year, and it's like, alright, Redfall was a kind of complete mess. I haven't played it, but I've heard everything that kind of worked out with it, and it seemed like an unfortunate scenario of like Bethesda trying to go after kind of like live service games, almost similar to the vein of like Fallout 76, and then just Microsoft acquiring Bethesda and just letting it kind of go on its own. So we've got that kind of backdrop. I had heard that like people were kind of miffed with how Sony had done their kind of showcase. I wasn't able to catch that, and granted, even though I'm more partial to Xbox, I do like competition. I want Sony working at all cylinders. I want Microsoft working at all cylinders, creating great games for everybody. So that way everybody can be like, I'm having fun. I'm playing some great-ass fucking games. And then you can pretty much be like, hey, okay, where you'd be one where you want all of the consoles and can get all of the consoles and play all those good games. So Microsoft, I think, had a strong showcase here because we got a lot of different games rather than just the main kind of core pillars, though granted, we did not see anything from Halo, we did not see anything from Gears of War, so hopefully they're just backburnered and we'll kind of see what kind of goes on. We also still have the whole Activision kind of merger thing, which was interesting because of the little kind of tidbit we got with Overwatch. I'm like, okay, interesting that we're seeing kind of that. But let's kind of run through what we kind of worked out with. We started off with a Fable thing, which was great to have like a trailer and kind of see what their kind of thing is going for. We get like Jack and the Giant and Jack and the Beanstalk kind of thing going on. And we don't have a release date, but we do know it'll be on Game Pass. So it's like, okay, they're at least showcasing that Fable is in development. Even though we've kind of heard that stuff before, it's nice to have official confirmation that this is in-game footage, so it looks nice. But then again, in-game cinematics can vastly, very wildly from like in-game gameplay. You could have like the best kind of looking, I mean, shit. You could even go of like Final Fantasy VII, like originally, where you've got like the cinematics of what's going on, and then you're like, I'm a pixel-ass motherfucker fighting other pixel-ass motherfuckers kind of shit. That's just an example that I had on the top of my head. But it does look to continue the same kind of quirky kind of humor that Fable is known for. We don't see any combat. We don't see any gameplay. So, as a thing, I'm glad that we know that we have an understanding of the tone and the kind of setting and world of Fable. So this is their take. Okay, I'm interested. Let's see where else this kind of goes. Next kind of game was South of Midnight, which was CG. And we have like an undead guitar player dude, and this woman's looking for this monster. It's like, okay, this looks interesting. I kind of need gameplay and other kind of stuff, but I'll check it out. I mean, Game Pass. A lot of this stuff is mainly on Game Pass. Star Wars Outlaws was something that I wasn't expecting. I'm like, ooh, Underworld Crime Syndicate kind of stuff. And then it's like Ubisoft's game. It's like, like, I liked the trailer, and I liked the introduction of the character and having to deal with the syndicates and everything like that. But again, Ubisoft's open world trends and settings of what they do with open worlds makes me leery. I love. Hopefully, this is a tight single-player Star Wars game where you explore the criminal underworld, kind of similar in the vein of like Fallen Order. Now, granted, I haven't played Jedi Survivor yet. Though, granted, I played on Xbox or whatnot, but that kind of one where you kind of go through and kind of explore the Star Wars universe in a kind of interesting kind of way, because you could just do it single player and do it all right. So the trailer looked nice. Again, I will wait to see what kind of goes on. Similar to what I've heard of like Diablo 4, though I've been hearing good things about Diablo 4, so we'll see what kind of goes on with that. I very much anymore take a wait and see approach, which you kind of have to, because things could have great trailers and then you're just like, what the fuck? You then wait like 6 months or even like a couple of years before you play certain kind of games. Like I've just finished Borderlands 3's main campaign, and I accidentally started the last DLC first, and I've got to actually finish that before I can go do the other DLCs. And the thing is, I'm kind of like, it worked. I mean, I played through it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But the thing is, I understand that there's like problems anymore, and having a shipped complete game is more of a rarity anymore than standard issue. Like, it's nuts. So always, even when I sound positive on certain kind of things, these could work out if they do work out. You know what I mean? I have hope and I have optimism. Fable, until I see some kind of stuff, I'm like, I'm hopeful. Got it in the tone. Let's see kind of what goes on with this. Let's see here. Star Wars Outlaws has the potential to be something really kind of cool. Again, I need gameplay, and I need to understand what Ubisoft is trying to accomplish with this fucking thing. 33 Immortals was up next, which kind of has a Hades kind of feel, and you can do co-op with up to 33 people. It's like, what the hell? And that's out 2024 Game Pass. I'm like, alright. Payday 3, not my kind of game. I mean, granted, it's a shooter, and you do like cops and robbers kind of stuff. Definitely looked interesting for those interested in it, and it showed gameplay. It showed fucking gameplay, so yes, I call that up. Thank you for doing that. And for those who are interested, definitely take a look at it and see kind of what goes on with that. My big thing was Avowed. We saw gameplay of this from Obsidian, and it definitely has Elder Scrolls kind of feel to it. Though granted, it doesn't seem like you'll be able to pick all different kind of races. I do like that we get this story set up. We get actual kind of gameplay, swords, sorcery, all that kind of stuff. I saw this and I'm like, I got Game Pass. I can definitely check this out. Though granted, it looks enough into my wheelhouse that I would actually just play it. And be like, okay, now granted, I'll wait. Like, again, I've stuck to this thing of like, unless it's a franchise that I understand and like is dear to me, and that the publishers and developers are on point and haven't screwed me over, I don't pre-order that kind of stuff anymore. It's like, if I pre-order it, I would mainly do it for any kind of collectible kind of thing, more so than the game, like Halo helmets and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like an actual physical fucking item that could work or could not work. I heard things with Bethesda, and that becomes the issue later on with Starfield. I'd be like, ooh, that'd be kind of cool if it works. So we'll kind of have to see. But it looks really awesome. I kind of want to see. There's like shit going on in this land that could potentially be like corrupting people's souls. You are sent in place of this emperor kind of dude, and you could save the people, you could destroy the people. Obsidian, I've liked their games. I've probably more hewn towards the Bethesda ones myself because of like certain kind of styles or whatnot, but I've enjoyed Obsidian's Entertainment's games, so we'll kind of see how this works out and how their story works out. I'm like, you got me interested. Definitely beautiful looks of color and everything like that, so I can't wait to see what kind of works out with that. Sea of Thieves, Monkey Island crossover, I'm like, okay, that actually works, and works with the kind of connection. Not my kind of style, but alright. Microsoft. So if you're into Sea of Thieves, check that out. Like, even though there's stuff in here that didn't catch my interest, I think they did a good job of representing various different kind of games, and then being able to give it to certain kind of people. Be like, hey, check this out. I was like, all right, like Flight Simulator. Not that into it, but they introduced some different, interesting kind of changes of like doing actual flying jobs, and then introducing Dune DLC that'll be coming later on. It's like, all right. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Again, more kind of cinematic and everything, kind of like the first game and all that. So we didn't really see gameplay, but it was cool to have it introduced by the actress that plays Senua, and that one is 2024. That is going to be a very big refrain here, that most of the things that we see are 2024. And it, again, is like, how long do we have to wait? Now, granted, I understand games take a long time. We've had the pandemic that has introduced all different kind of things, so I'm fine with waiting. I have cultivated patience for this kind of stuff, so hopefully this stuff starts really racking up in 2024. We got the surprising Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and this was interesting since I've just finished my Yakuza kind of stuff, and evidently Ichiban's naked on the beach, and he doesn't know how he's there or whatnot, but the thing is, it seems to be a foreign beach, because he's speaking in Japanese, and then other people are speaking in English, and he finds out that he's naked, and it's like, alright, so it's just mainly a cinematic trailer, and that'll be coming out in 2024, which is interesting, because we're going to be getting, Like a Dragon Gaiden, or, no, yes, wait, yeah, Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which is following Kiryu, I think later this year. So that's linking those two up together. Again, I would have to see what kind of goes on with that. I actually prefer the turn-based aspects. I might check it out, at least on Game Pass, and if I don't have any other kind of games to play at that point. Because that's kind of what I did with Yakuza Like a Dragon. We'll have to kind of see. Going through the studio that makes Yakuza really just understands what sells for the game in the niche fandom, and even though that fandom is growing, and I hope it grows enough for them to be successful enough and have the success that they deserve, I'll have to see if they change up any kind of things that would get me into it, and if I just check it out on Game Pass, that's fine enough for me. So if you're definitely into the Like a Dragon series, I'm sorry I keep going back and forth between Yakuza and Like a Dragon. They're trying to shift it more to the Like a Dragon and actually make it actually more to what they wanted, as they call the franchise. If you're into Like a Dragon, definitely check out the trailer. Pretty funny, works its way out, and hopefully you are excited for it and you're like into it. Now granted, that's if you're into the turn-based aspects and into Ichiban. If you're into Kiryu, you got your Kiryu fix that'll be coming on later. Well, earlier. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it'd be coming earlier, and then you got this, if you're into it. So, we'll have to see. I'm open, but going through the series like I did is not advised, because you really get the condensedness of like how they need to change up certain kind of things, and that there's certain things that they could change to make things just better, hopefully. Fallout 76 is getting DLC to go to Atlantic City. We got this cool Capcom game that just looks fucking kind of crazy. It's so... Great thing that I'm seeing is like different kind of art styles and effective use of color. Avowed kind of started with this. I like this. I think a lot of games hopped onto the realistic wagon a little bit too much. There's a lot of diversity that you can go on and do stuff. Make your art style work for your game. This one by Capcom, Kunitsu Gami, Path of the Godless, looks really kind of crazy. I don't know what's going on. There's some kind of corruption thing going on. You're this kind of like samurai dude protecting this like shrine maiden as she's trying to like get this kind of corrupting force out of everything, and we actually saw gameplay from it. So you see the kind of fighting and everything, not an in-depth dive or anything, but enough for me to be like, that one is going on the list. Now granted, I don't know if that's going to be on Game Pass, but I'm definitely just checking that out, because that looks fucking crazy and cool. I'm like, alright, Capcom. You've been doing alright with me. I would like to check this out. This looks fucking nuts. So definitely check that trailer out if you're into it. And I know Capcom has done some crazy stupid shit and some crazy awesome shit. So we'll see how this kind of turns out. But if you're interested, definitely check out the trailer and see kind of what's going on. We're getting a Forza Motorsport launch in October, which is good. That's good. Keep the racing franchises good for you, Xbox, and work out those well. Even though I'm not into racers like that, give them to the people and do them well. Those have been carrying hardcore. We're getting more Atlas kind of stuff. Let's see. There was also... Yeah, we're getting no, I might be going out of order here, but we're getting Persona 3 Reloaded, which is a remake of Persona 3, which I actually bought, so I'm going to go through that. That one's coming out in 2024, and I'm like, yay! We get a lot of Atlas and a lot of Sega stuff here, so if I have to applaud Xbox for getting that kind of partnership, because we get that. We are getting Persona 5 Tactica, which is this kind of tactical, kind of crazy take with like chibi Persona 5, and I'm like, yes, please, and just give it to me. That's coming out this year, so I'm excited to play that out and look at that and see how that goes out. Those will be on Game Pass as well. I'm like, a lot of things that I have to applaud Xbox for this, at least, because we saw a lot of Japanese game representation. We've got Capcom, we've got like Sega with, of course, the Like a Dragon franchise. We've now got 2 Persona games, and then another one by creators from Persona from Atlas. It's like, yes, this is what I've been hoping for. I'm like, yes. So for me, that's definitely a big win column and definitely something I'm glad for. Put it this way, that's almost the reason why I would buy and play more Like a Dragon games on Xbox, to be like, listen, I might not like exactly what these guys are doing. I am showing support. I mean, I bought certain Final Fantasy games on PlayStation 4, and then I rebought them on Xbox to be like, Square, I'm here. And then Square's like, what? And it's like, fucking hell. And then we've got Sega popping up like a motherfucker with Atlas and all these Japanese games, and we got Capcom, and I'm like, yes. Now that's for me. If you don't care about that, that's fine. Yeah. It's just, I like to have more games and more variety and more things for people to play on Xbox. And if that means that there's people like me that want more Japanese games, cool. If there's more people that want pirate games and stuff like that, I want you guys to have that. Pirates, racing, flight sims, all that stuff. I want a lot of different shit on here. Alright, we then also got a new Starfield gameplay trailer, which was kind of weird because then they did like a deep fucking dive on it after this, which Starfield looks good, man. That's definitely one of the ones that I'm going to be going for. We'll get to that when we get to that. We saw a trailer for Jacent, which is some kind of platformer one, which actually looks kind of neat. Different kind of style, again, more kind of colorful, different kind of art style, at least doing kind of things. We got Still Wakes the Deep, which is mainly just kind of CGI, very kind of Bioshocky kind of vibe, where you're just pretty much locked in like an oil rig or whatnot. It's 2024. Dungeons of the Hinterberg looks kind of interesting, a fusion of like fantasy kind of stuff with modern kind of aesthetics and dealing with like monsters and stuff. It's like, okay, that'd be kind of cool. Keanu Reeves came to like bring out Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty, which I loved. Keanu Reeves is fucking awesome, and I don't hold him or anything. I'm glad that they were able to get him back to be Johnny Silverhand as we get a deeper kind of dive into Phantom Liberty, how we as V are pretty much dying, so we get contacted by this pretty much handler that the president of the new United States has crash landed in Dogtown, and we are being activated, and other agents are being activated to get her out of there. Idris Elba being one of them. And it's like, alright, let's kind of see what goes on with this. Now again, because of what happened with Cyberpunk, I will wait to see how this works out before I play it, because I waited until it was pretty much Series X enhanced, and worked out. And I'm like, okay, I had fun with it. It was enjoyable, even though it was kind of weird and kind of clunky, but it's clunky because of transferring the stuff that we'd seen from The Witcher into a first-person shooter kind of aspect and dealing with that kind of system. So I understand growing pains. However, you do not market it as like how they did and be like, hey, this is acceptable. Like, I understand that you have to fight and be like, the shareholders want their money, but we also need to actually release a product. There is a middle ground here, and how Cyberpunk 2077 was launched should never be an acceptable state. I'm glad that they have made it to an acceptable state, and that they're doing DLC and continuing to support the game. That is how it should be done. So we'll see what kind of works out. Again, we didn't really get gameplay, but we'll see what works out. City Skylines 2, Then we got another Atlas game, Atlas game, Metaphor Re-Fantasio. And it looks like it's a system of, like, evidently our world would be considered a utopia for these guys, and that we are put in the role of this prince trying to claim a throne, and it just looks crazy because it's got the people behind Persona 3 and Persona 4 behind it. I'm like, the Persona series is more my style than the Shin Megami Tensei series. And I have played Soul Hackers 2, and that was just okay. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of the Persona ones, and then this one. This one looks interesting. I'll see how it kind of like works out and susses out, but I'm really into them, and I'm like, let's see how this kind of works out. I'm really excited to see what kind of battle systems, how the story kind of works out, because it's not the same kind of stuff that we've seen in Persona with the high school kind of stuff, different kind of world, more traditional kind of JRPG kind of thing going on. So we'll see how that works out, and I'm excited. We get Towerborn from the creators behind the Banner Saga trilogy. So I was like, oh, okay, that looks interesting. And if it interests you because you're into that, look into it. It's good. Clockwork Revolution looks good. Like, that has the potential to be an interesting kind of one because it's steampunk. We've got kind of time powers involved. Let's kind of like work into what's going on. Definitely has a lot of kind of Bioshock feels to it. I think this was In Exile. Next game, it's like, ooh, okay, let's see how this kind of works. Again, utilizing the studios that Microsoft has bought. And we actually see kind of gameplay, or at least representations of gameplay, so we'll see how that works. That one was a good one. I'm always into it. We seem to be fighting this woman who's like trying to, who's pretty much at the top of the hierarchy, saying that, oh, this machine runs perfectly and everything is not as it seems, and that our character is trying to like take her down, but that our choices in the past and changes could make even worse future. So I do like the aesthetics, how it kind of works. I'm like, oh, this definitely has a Bioshock feel to it, except even though it's got the same kind of themes, I'm interested to see how it kind of works out, and I like how it's got different aesthetics throughout the world, and I want to see how it kind of comes together. We also got a new Xbox Series S console that is black and ups the storage to 1 terabyte SSD, so thank you with that. It's really kind of weird that I'd be like, I at first would have liked to have both of them refreshed to a certain degree, but in all honesty, I would almost, I know this sounds stupid and probably old as fucking shit, but I like the SSD cards, and that we'd essentially go to memory card kind of models. Old school days. Come, youngins, come! There used to be a thing of memory cards, where, see, we would just put in a card, and we would save our stuff there and keep slotting them out and everything. I think it's a system that, if done correctly, can work out better for consumers, and just be able to slot your stuff in and be like, oh, okay, it saves you, and then you just collect them and make sure that you got them in the right orders. The biggest kind of issue is the prohibitive costs of them. I understand that technology is expensive, and that it's hard to make, and that they need to get their costs back. But for the love of fuck, man, they should be going down. Now, granted, Western Digital introducing theirs and Seagate dropping their prices, sure, will introduce some kind of things, but that's just putting another player into it to slightly lower the prices, not opening up the field to actual competition to have different kind of pricings and different price points for these kind of cards. It'd be like, okay, I'm paying $180 for a 1 terabyte one. Why am I doing that? When it should be like, I don't, like, to be honest with you, these should be down to certain kind of instances to the prices that I would think would be comparable, would be anywhere between like 25 to 50 bucks for comparable ones to be cost effective for a gamer and the consumer level. I understand that people will be like, that's insane, you can't get an SSD for that. It's like, the thing is, that should be the goal. So that way you don't have to, like, if you can get like giant terabyte hard drives, that's the kind of thing that you're fighting against. What you want is to people to be like, you just slide it in and then you don't have to worry about it. And it should be like multiple terabytes at this point soon. And I understand we got to get to that technology, get it smaller, get it to the cost-effective point to that, but we'll see kind of what goes on with that. So the biggest thing that we got from this showcase, other than like all the stuff that I was liking, is Starfield's deep dive. And I'm not going to go completely in depth with this, but we got that they've got Starfield controllers and headsets, which look pretty nice. You can get a watch that will link to your smartphone. That looks nice. It's like, ooh, these are nice kind of collectives and various different standard editions. We see gameplay. And like actual gameplay, going to planets, going around, get their understanding of what they're attempting to accomplish with Starfield and the story and how you can create your ships. You can make your ship into anything. One woman was explaining that she likes to make them into animals. She made a fucking platypus one, which is fucking awesome. And that you would go as a pirate and steal sandwiches from places and put them in a sandwich hoard, which that makes sense because in a lot of Bethesda games you can do that, and there's like sweet roll room, cheese room, and shit like that. You can make mech ships and fly it, and like you can really customize the shit out of that. Your guns, gun gameplay, from what I saw, looks very nice. Looks better than what we've seen before from other Bethesda titles like Fallout and everything, like an actual evolution with it. And this will be coming out September 6th, hopefully. And the thing is, even if from what we see is just what we saw here, that comes out September 6th, I'd be fine with it. You've got your dialogue options, you can create you can get different suits, different things, go everywhere, and there's like thousands of different worlds, how they're trying to do all this stuff, the lighting, they went deep dive. I would definitely recommend looking into it if you want to understand Starfield and Bethesda's ideas behind Starfield. And I liked seeing all of these different people involved explaining it, like from the actual devs. How do I explain this? The best kind of marketing, should it be just some crazy rando motherfucker or somebody that you think is a celebrity or influencer to try and sell your thing? The people behind it and making it should be explaining what they're attempting to accomplish and why they like it and what they're trying to do, so that way we get an understanding of what they're trying to make. The best people to advocate for those kind of things are usually the people themselves. And that is kind of what I got here. Now granted, that doesn't mean that usual marketing BS and lying cannot insert itself into here. This could be one of the most elaborate kind of shit shows in history where everything looks good in this thing. It comes out in September and it doesn't work at all, completely and utterly crashes and burns, doesn't look anywhere visually fidelity, anywhere close to what we've done, and things can go completely and utterly nuts. I concede that point. I understand that point, and you are valid for things can go completely and utterly wrong. What we saw here, if it can come to fruition, I'm in. Like, this is the kind of game I'm waiting for. It's like, ooh, this is a space game. Good space game. It's like, ooh. It gave me kind of Mass Effect vibes. Not to the space opera kind of effect, more of a kind of more grounded Star Trek kind of effect, but their own kind of take on it. Where I could go out, I could explore, I could build my own crew doing crazy shit, exploring the stars. And I'd love to see Bethesda's take on that and seeing it here and how utilizing Elder Scrolls kind of things that they've done and Fallout kind of things that they've done and mashing that into a space kind of story and being, as they say, NASA punk, where it's like functional, but like with style and stuff like that. It's like, that's the kind of game that I want. I want to see what goes on. I want to see what I can do. I want to explore these worlds. And that's a rare thing. Like, not a rare thing, but like, it's rare that you can have somebody bring up this kind of game, show it to you, and be like, ooh, I kind of want to see what goes on with that. And then you get that game, and you do get that feeling. And you're able to do that and go through with that. That's why Mass Effect was good, and then how the ending just was like, hey, buddy. And I'm like, no. Like, that was going to be my Star Wars, Star Trek of gaming. That space kind of one. So hopefully this could be that for me. And I'm like, okay, I understand that those are high hopes and high expectations, and I hope they hit them. But I'm not going to completely and unfairly take it out on them if they don't. I'll be like, okay, this isn't exactly what I thought, but we'll see. But from what they've shown, it looks like that kind of thing that I want to do. Explore the universe, get resources, upgrade stuff, upgrade shit, make cool shit, do cool shit, and just be that kind of explorer kind of thing that I kind of want to do, that I would want to do in Star Wars and Star Trek and everything in there. It just looks like they can do some crazy shit, man. Like, you can do guns, you can modify your guns, you could make yourself a fisting thunderfucker just running around punching shit and doing crazy shit. I love that we saw a dude being like, yeah, I'm just in there just doing shit, and the other dude's like, yeah, I'm just an exploding motherfucker, and I'm like, yeah, alright. And just seeing all their different playstyles being able to be utilized in this game. That is a key part for me. Granted, I do like curated experiences where there are certain kind of ways to play. Where you're like, okay, I can't do all of these things, but you're in that gameplay loop and you're like, yeah. Like Halo. Like, you go in, you're a first-person shooter, but yet you can do certain kind of things. You can kind of add your own flair to that certain kind of style. This, it's like, okay, here's your toolbox. Show me what you got, motherfucker. Now, granted, Halo does that too. But this is kind of a wider breadth of like, I can go stealthy, I can go boom, I can do what I want. And it's the player's choice. Now, granted, you'll have consequences for certain kind of things like that. You could be a pirate and steal Granny Graham's fucking sandwiches and shit, even though she invited you over for food and shit. But you can then be like dealing with pirates and being like, fuck you, dealing with weird extremist cultists and shit. It's like, it was a great deep dive that really helped me understand more of what Starfield is and where it is at this point and juncture, which makes me hopeful that it can be that first big hit where it's like, yes, and then we keep rolling. Now, granted, I think it's stupid that we have to put all of our hopes onto one game, and I'm not actually going to be doing that. It's just like, all right, this big Xbox game and everything, and I'm like, yes, okay, cool. I want to see this, and I want to play it, and I want to see how it kind of works out. I'm not going to say that Xbox will die if this doesn't work out, but Xbox needs good first-party games. Okay, I do like that they're getting third-party and getting Sega and Atlas to like put the JRPGs on here and get all various different kind of types of games, but they also have to put out their own games that like bring in new fans, help have existing fans enjoy them and be like, yeah, all right, this is fun, we're having fun, instead of being like, oh, okay, here's this, and just being like, oh, okay, this isn't really hitting. And granted, not all of them hit and are winners for everybody. Everybody's got different tastes, and I don't want them to homogenize and everything like that, but Xbox does need a win on this kind of stuff, and they need to start putting out consistently good games. Now, granted, they can look different to a lot of different people involved, but, I mean, a good RPG, a good shooter game, a good flight game, a good racing game. And the thing is, Starfield looks really good for me, RPG-wise. Clockwork Revolution looks good for me, shooter-wise. Avowed looks good for me as another RPG. And having a good stable of that is like, let's see how these work out. There's a lot of stuff that I saw that I liked. Avowed, I'm definitely into. All the Outlast games, yeah, I'll even look into Like a Dragon to see what kind of works out with that. Just mainly to be like, hopefully, since I bought all of the Yakuza, well, like the game, most of the Yakuza games that I could get on Xbox, that they keep doing this. And granted, that doesn't mean I'm just gonna buy horrible, horrible shit, but I'm just gonna be like, give me more of this. The Capcom game, Path of the Godless. There's a lot of different stuff that I liked here, and a lot of different stuff for people that could be involved. So I hope that if any of these sound interesting to you, you're able to check them out and see, okay, and then figure out how you want to play them. If you want to go Xbox, if you want to play it on PC, any of those kind of routes, I want you to find what's comfortable for you. Hell, a lot of these are be on other kind of systems as well. If you want to play it on PlayStation or whatnot, if it's a multi-platform and it's on PlayStation, and to get that for you and everything. Like, granted, there was nothing on here that I don't think, well, like Switch-wise, but Switch is an entirely different animal, and it's still good, alright? I want good competition from all involved, and Nintendo just needs to honestly keep doing what it's doing. Zelda, I've heard, has been pretty fucking good, and they can do crazy-ass fucking shit of, like, killing bosses in ways that nobody could even fucking fathom, so, yeah. Though, granted, for me, and my family, and my mom, Animal Crossing. Please? You know what I mean? I know it's weird that I'm mainly doing this about Xbox, but also talking about certain kind of ones as well. Sony has to watch themselves because they did a lot of the cinematic stuff, and I just don't like the rumblings that they're going all harder in on games as a service. Those are very notoriously weird things. I understand that's why they got Bungie. I hope that they don't need... I hope that if they fuck up, they learn from it, and that the gamers don't get fucked over too much for it, and they're just like, Sony, stop fucking doing a piece of stupid fucking shit thing like that, and it's like, alright, cool. So, with that, there's a lot of good stuff here that I liked in this showcase. I think this was a strong showcase and really brought back good kind of E3 vibes of like, hey, okay, these are the games and everything. It was kind of cool. I'm excited to see what kind of goes on, but Xbox needs to hone in, stick it, and get a better kind of handling on their studios. Sometimes you can just let a studio go and they'll fucking pump out gold. Sometimes you have to be in that process to guide certain kind of things and make sure that they don't feature creep themselves out of oblivion or can hone themselves in better to make better kind of things. It's all in... You have to use your judgment on certain kind of things. Bethesda looks like it could work out pretty well with Starfield. And Obsidian's with Avowed, I'm into. I'm definitely interested to see more about Fable and what's kind of going on. And I'm glad that we're getting more third-party, different kind of games, and more games on Game Pass. So we'll see kind of what goes on with those. And I'm excited for this stuff. Hopefully, as we get into the latter half of 2023, we'll get awesome, more games to play. Definitely, hopefully, starting with Starfield. And then 2024 will be that one where we start seeing a good cadence. So those are my impressions on the showcase. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.